Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the blue flame. We are moving rather swiftly, it seems, through Libra season. And I have come through today to talk about the Aries full moon that will be taking place on the 6th or 7th, depending on your locale. Here in California, it will be the 6th of October at 8:47 p.m. Pacific. Before we get to the full moon itself, though, we're going to weave through some of the current that is running as we approach that date, that moment in time. Mercury is where we're really going to focus our attention, but not just Mercury. Not just Mercury, also Chiron and Eris, Saturn and the galactic center. Let's take a beat, shall we? This Libra season is very much, all Libra seasons are, but this one in particular is very much about taking those pauses, taking those beats, coming into our center of gravity, finding our equilibrium. Now, in my last update, I shared that one of the templates, the energetic movements that is occurring during this astrologically, is that Venus is running through the sign of Virgo, and Mars is running through the sign of Scorpio, and they are creating this sort of rebalancing effect with the Libra sun. Venus connecting to the rising sun, and Mars connecting to the setting sun. Venus will come into Libra just before the sun leaves, and the sun will come into Scorpio while Mars is still there. And this is templating energetically the effect of exploring when we lean too heavily into one of the poles, into that which is considered more our feminine nature innately within each and every one of us, and that which is more of our masculine nature innately within each and every one of us, and inviting us to lean, to open more to the counterpoint. So if we're really, really working that divine masculine energy, and we can feel ourselves coming out of alignment, coming out of balance, giving a little power over to our feminine to help recenter us. We can do this in all of the directions. Now, as Venus and Mars are playing together in the signs on either side of Libra, we have Mercury in Libra itself. Now, in these days leading up to that October 6th, 7th Aries full moon, Mercury is going to be traversing the end of Libra. On the full moon itself, Mercury will be at the 0 point of Scorpio. In the days leading up, let's start with October 3rd. Those days, we find Venus crossing the South Node in Virgo. Mercury crosses through the stellar dimension of Arcturus on that same day. Arcturus is the way station. It is one of those places, a community hub of interdimensional activity where we review and plan our various incarnations. It's called the way station in part because it is like a transit hub, and in part because of that Egyptian and Buddhist parable of the feather and the heart on the scales. And here you can find that Libra energy again, right? Can you balance your heart to the weight of the feather? Can your heart be lighter than the weight of the feather? This is what we mean when we say it is connected to our life review and our life planning sessions, right? It is deeply and intimately connected to the Akashic Records area, the Hall of Records, the library, where all of our soul's journeying information is held. And we have portals and gateways into that realm, but when we are transiting in our interdimensional form, Arcturus's stellar dimension is one of the planes that we can meet up with others. So Mercury, the messenger, on October 3rd, will cross through this center. We'll have the solar Kazemi happening later in the month. Mercury is leading the way. And at that moment, when Mercury crosses through that Arcturian realm, it will do so in a square to Jupiter in Cancer, which is conjunct the Hathor's asteroid. And we've talked before about the Hathors here in the blue flame. They are an interdimensional energy. The Egyptian goddess Hathor, that holy cow, that beautiful fertility mother of all goddess, is a reflection of their energy. And they tend to hold the earthly journey. One could say they've grabbed their popcorn and they're watching with very, 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 very active attention. The energy that the Hathors represent for us is connecting more wholly, more fully to our interdimensional state of being, our natural state of being, our stellar divine state of being. The Hathors energetically have never taken on physical form, so they hold that thread very well for us. They can help us when we tune into them energetically to connect more strongly, to strengthen our connection to our interdimensional beingness. So on October 3rd, really from the 1st of October through the 4th of October, when Mercury crosses in square the Hathors and Jupiter in Cancer, we are given, and Arcturus is where Mercury will be, we are being given an opportunity to access more, let me feel, easily, access more easily our Akashic records, our soul's journey. When we feel Venus crossing over the South Node at this exact same moment, we can really touch in to how much access we're being given in the run up to that Aries full moon and in the run up to the Arcturus Gateway event that begins around October 15th. Okay? How do we work with this energy? Well, one way to work with this energy is through the heart. And when we feel Venus's connection here and Jupiter and Hathor in Cancer, we can start to understand that one of the entryways into the Akashic records is through our heart space. So trying to, I'm going to rewind and instead of trying, allowing your focus, your attention, your awareness to come deeper and deeper and deeper into your heart space, bringing your intent to entering the passageway to the Hall of Records that exists there. Now, yesterday for the half moon, I did a card draw for us in the members portal, and one of the cards that we got is Benevolent Guide. And this is one of the energies that Jupiter represents and that the Hathors represent. So as you're setting this intent to connect more with your Akashic records, with your soul's journey, and with your whole interdimensional state of beingness, you're invited to call upon the guides that support this journey for you. They may be a team, it may be part of your soul group, it may be someone in the physical, and you reach out to me and ask for a soul path consult. Whatever it might be, finding that openness to receive what you need to receive, setting that intent, may this journey be in the highest good of all sentience. May this journey, may I see what I need to see, may I feel what I need to feel, may I experience what I need to experience as I open myself up and explore everything that my soul has. Received my entire soul journey. Now, there is another aspect that's really putting a exclamation point on this capacity to really, really dive into the Akashic records right now and reconnect our thread, strengthen the thread between our physicality and our interdimensional state of beingness. And that is that Saturn is making an exact square to the galactic center. Now, this square between Saturn and Pisces and the galactic center in Sagittarius is basically running all year. Okay? It'll be looser as we move through October, and then we'll tighten up again next year when Saturn moves forward again. That said, on the 29th, on the 28th of September, this square became exact, and it is running exact with a peak of exactness the moment it is within seconds, and then exactly square is the same moment as the Aries full moon. So we are coming into a very, very, very potent portal for rekindling, re-threading, reviving our connection to our entire journey, to everything that we have experienced and everything that we will experience, and releasing this linearity that somehow those two things are separate. As we remember that we are experiencing all of it right now. So, let's do a quick recap as we come more fully now into the Aries full moon. Mercury on the 2nd through the 5th will be crossing through the dimension of Arcturus. That is exact at the 3rd of October when Mercury crosses through the 24 degree of Libra. It is doing this in square to Jupiter and the Hathors in Cancer. Now it is also doing this opposite, so forming a T-square with Chiron retrograde in Aries, which has, as of the 29th of September, begun to make an exact conjunction with the asteroid named Eris, Eris. Eris is the goddess of chaotic creation, the goddess of discord, sometimes also called strife. What Eris represents is those places within us where we will not let me feel, because she really wants to come through in a very specific way. Where we will not stand for injustice, where we will not allow someone to disrespect our yes or disrespect our no, where we say, I am, and will not allow someone to say, no, you're not. This is part of the energy that Eris represents. Eris in conjunction with Chiron, as Chiron retrogrades through Eris. Eris is also retrograde, moves much slower. So Chiron, the wounded healer, is moving through backwards Eris. This is connecting us to those wounds where we fear that if we stand in our truth, where we fear that if we stand in our yes, or we stand in our no, we will be abandoned. We will be hurt. We will be shunned. We will be burned at the stake. This is witch wound. This is sister wound. This is power over wound. This is dogma wound. And it is inviting us to embrace the gift of this, which is that remembering of I am, that remembering that all of these are an illusion, that our true power comes from within. And this is also what Mars is doing in Scorpio, right? We are being given all of these templates to say, here, look at the journey thus far. Feel through your heart, within your heart, how you are so much bigger than you thought you were. How much more expansive. How connected to the all of everything. Feel, remember, feel, remember, feel, remember. And as you do, it becomes easier and easier to connect to the truth, which is love, which is also God. God, truth, love, they are all the same word. They all mean the same thing. And so, as we play and journey and open and explore all of these energies of where the wounds came from in the first place and how we can allow them to dissipate, revealing the gifts of our soul that, like the pearl in the grain of sand in the oyster shell, has formed and come into an embodiment of that. All of this that we're talking about here is bringing those stages, those alchemical stages of the initiation and the completion into being, to finding that mercurial energy of being able to communicate and transit through and into and around and with all of the realms. So then, as we're moving through all of this energy, the full moon comes to its peak on the 6th of October at 8:47 p.m. Pacific. At 14 degrees of Aries, the sun will be at 14 of Libra. 14 degrees of Aries creates a fire grand trine for the moon, the great attractor in Sagittarius, conjunct Medusa, conjunct Sophia. Sophia, gnosis, wisdom. Medusa, empowered reclamation. The great attractor, shadow work, and that amazing interplay that is the tapestry of life. Now, a trine, of course, is a gift. A grand trine is sometimes a gift so innate to us that we have forgotten that we even have it. We're running around utilizing this gift from a place of unconsciousness. And this full moon is shining a bright spotlight from the sign of I Am onto our gift of interdimensional weaving, reclaimed power, and wisdom. The sign of Sagittarius, where the great attractor Medusa and Sophia exist during this full moon, is the sign of seeking for higher expressions of truth. They will be fiery grand trine style with Magdalena in Leo during this full moon. So we have those lunar energies, the full bright spotlight of the full moon. And this is a big full moon too. It's not a small one. It's one of our first supermoons of the season. It's big, beautiful, bright spotlight shining into all of those places where we feel like we haven't been seen, where we feel like we haven't been heard, where we feel like we were not given a seat at the table, inviting us to reclaim our power, our voice. There's that Mercury again, coming into the 0 of Scorpio on this full moon. Reclaiming our truth, that we have a seat at the table, that we have a voice, that we are powerful beyond measure. Inviting us to release into the great attractor any and all restrictions that we have placed upon ourselves or others in their capacity for using power for good. What do I mean by using power for good? What we are talking about is that statement. Is this in the highest good of love? Is this in the highest good of all sentience? When we create from that place, when we utilize our power from that place. We are working with the big P power. We are working with the energy of empowerment as opposed to trying to impress our, our will upon another. Okay? During all of this, Mercury, so active, Toth, right? Hermes is all up in this Aries full moon right now. These first couple of weeks of October, Mercury is sending lots of messages, being very, very loud and very, very active. Mercury will be, as I said, moving into that 0 degree of Scorpio, putting Mercury in an exact trine to the retrograde Kali at 0 of Pisces. Kali has been working with Yeshua and Persephone for the last month and a half or so, and they are all retrograding backwards. They're all moving backwards. They've been moving backwards through Pisces. Yeshua and Persephone have already gone into those end degrees of Aquarius. Kali is at the 0 of Pisces on this full moon, working with that Mercurial energy and inviting a look at where maybe a head needs to be chopped off. And I've been playing around a lot, and I'm going to share this with you all now, with the interconnection between Medusa and the Hindu goddess Chinnamasta, who cuts her own head off to feed herself and her friends, her compatriots. And how Medusa's story, her head is cut off, and it is through this decapitation that the Pegasus is able to be born and the Chemaya is able to be born. These two beings that were locked inside of her until that moment of separation. And how sometimes we need to lose our mind in order to come into our true power. I heard a story yesterday, and I'm going to share it with us now. It's a passage from Job that was being shared in a documentary that I was watching. And it's Job talking about Peter walking on water to Jesus. And what is remembered in this, actually, it wasn't Job. These were, I'm conflating two different things. Sorry about that. But it's the story of Peter crossing the water, and that Peter was doing fine. He was walking on water. He was coming across the water to meet with Jesus until the moment that he decided, wait, humans aren't supposed to be able to walk on water. I'm not supposed to be able to do this. At which point he began to sink. And where we're playing, what we're working with now is that remembering. And sometimes we have to forget all of the things we've taught about what we can and cannot do in order to remember that we have the capacity to do so much more than we've been told we do. Such as walk on water, right? This is part of this energy of Kali working with Mercury, this Chinnamasta and Medusa decapitation. It's not fully and physically cutting your head off, or even a dig at the ego. It's simply saying that there are a lot of programs that have been running in the background of our consciousness for a long time that really do not serve the highest good of all sentience. And when we talk about chopping our head off, what we're talking about is opening up a channel to allow those to be released. Here we can feel that Chiron Eris conjunction. We can feel all of this work that Mercury is doing. We can feel the moon with the great attractor and Medusa. Mercury has one more offering before we close that I am called to share for us. And that is also during this full moon in Aries. Mercury at 0 of Scorpio will be the apex point of a yod between Uranus and Sedna at the 0 and at the 1 of Gemini, both retrograde, and Neptune at the 0 of Aries, also retrograde. This sextile between Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn have been running and will continue to run through the rest of this year. Right now, and as Mercury moves into that Z point, we are putting a fine point on our capacity to awaken innate, communicative, translationary, shamanic capacities. All of these innate gifts, wisdom, medicine that exists within each and every one of us. Should we have the strength and courage to allow it, to stand firm in our light, in our yes to this journey, and to say, I am. I am. This full moon is in Aries, and we are working. All of those restrictions that we have placed upon ourselves, keeping ourselves small, and inviting a more balanced, equanimable I am, full-throated in truth and love. And that's where we'll leave, in truth and love, with so much and many. I hope that you've enjoyed this update. If there's something you'd like to share in the comments, please do so. I would love to witness and weave with you there. If you are called to a Soul Path Journey Consult, there's links below in the descriptions. And come check out the members portal if that calls as well. Please journey well and trust your inner knowing. Shared, my friends, as always, in the always, with so much and many loves, from the dimensions of the all and beyond.